Hi, everybody. Thanks for joining Create with Dee. I'm Dee Slater, and I'm so excited to have everybody here tonight. We are going to make this beautiful card. It's got a really different fold to it, and I know there's just a little bit of echoing here. And when you fold it out, it's like this, and you have this beautiful background. Okay, let's get started making this, and I'll get this echo off right here. Okay, I'm sure that this is all better now to do this, but I just wanted to come on and say hi to you with my face for just a little bit. So as you're coming on, let me know if you can hear me and everything, and we'll go from there and say hi. And I know there's just a little delay with me seeing your comments, but I'm so excited to share with you this beautiful fun fold card. It's a little different in the fact that we are going to be using the 12 by 12 basic white cardstock. Like I said, I think it was earlier today or yesterday to maybe get your trimmers out and get your your 12 by 12 paper and some beautiful designer paper, and let's make this card. Well, this card here is going to feature one of the new bundles that's in the new mini catalog, and it's called Flowering Tulips. And it makes these beautiful tulips, 3D tulips, all the way. Now, when I first had seen that there was a tulip die, I'm like, oh my gosh, we have the tulip punch. Do I really need a tulip die? And and I'm glad that I answered yes to that question, because I'm really going to enjoy this and make lots of beautiful spring cards. Hi, Marge. Hi, Carla. Thanks for joining in today. All right, so let's go ahead and let's get the tulips made, and then we'll have all of that done. And so when we put our card together, it'll go really quickly. So with these tulips, I'll put this off to the side here for just a second. I did ahead of time get 2 of the tulips made, just so that you can see, you wouldn't have to watch me put them together. These tulips, there's so many different, I think, ways of making tulips and this is the first time that I've played with them. I've seen others where they have theirs look a little different, and they do different layers, but I think that's the beauty of this die. You can just make it your own. Hi, Diana. Thanks for joining. Appreciate you tuning in. So this is my way of doing it. And I know that there's going to be, like if you have this die, I'm sure that you have your way of doing it as well. Now, because of some of the other assembly for the card, I opted just to have all die cutting done and no stamping. I wanted it to go like the assembly of that fairly fast. But I did want you to see how like you can really add even more dimension and textures if you would stamp and die cut onto the flowers too. It would just take it up a level. All right, so I'm going to show you how I assembled these tulips. And like I am saying is like, I know there's more than one way of putting these here together. This is just the way that I came up with for this particular project. Well, let me go ahead and kind of share with you this. When you die cut some of these, I can see there's some little pausing here, so sorry if it's buffering just a little bit. Some of these dies here, when you die cut them out, you get this this kind of a look here, and it's got a little score line that it creates. And when you fold those over, you get this cute little tulip just by itself. And on this card here, on this tulip, that's how I did these. I just did a one fold and done. So I'm going to give you a couple of like little looks. So that's just how I did this card here. But tonight, what I wanted to do is show how that you can really layer up these tulips. All right. So ahead of time, like I said, I've made one out of Poppy Parade and Petal Pink. And now I'm going to make a third one. And I just am going to go ahead and show you how all of these kind of fold up to make different tulips. Just that easy and simple. I love that. And so again, these are the 3 different shapes. This one right here is kind of like a bud. So it's not quite, you can either make it a tulip all by itself, like just starting out, or you can do what we're going to do here tonight, and we're going to tuck it into one of these other ones. All right, so what I found that I like to do first is I love to use glue dots for these tulips. I think that, well, one, it gives me immediate, I guess, closure on these. And secondly, you know, there's hardly, like, there's such a little place here where they connect, and I do want them to go together. And so I think glue dots works well. And as you can see here, I did flip this upside down, or up, or in the other direction what I had it. I do want to have the little scallopy part on the top to show the petal. So what I do is I just put a glue dot here and then close it. And then here's where you can get a little 3D action going on our tulips. I'm going to tuck this in here, and you can kind of offset it just a little bit. So again, like when I open this up, this isn't sitting like straight up and down. I'm kind of following the curve here so that when it's closed, you know, I want to kind of position it like so. So I am going to open this up, and we'll get a glue dot down. Hi, Doreen. Thanks for sharing, Diana. I appreciate it. Put that down. And again, I'm not going to do this real, make sure this is where I want it. And it is. And now I'm going to glue dot the top flap over. I think there's about 6 different tulip petals in the dies. And so you can really mix and match the different levels, switch out colors. It's really nice. And so by kind of wrapping it around a little bit, I made it a little more 3D. Hopefully that shows. Okay, so now I've got my tulip petal. So this one's nice and starting to open. Now let's go ahead and we'll make our stems on it. I'm making these all 3 the same as far as the stems go. And I'm going to go ahead and use my liquid glue and put the leaves on. And so I'm trying to make them like the leaves pretty up and down. You know, I don't want it, the leaves to be wide, because the area that we're putting it on our fun fold tonight, it's about a 4-inch area, and I want to get 3 of these tulips on. Okay, so we've got that, and now what I want to do is I'm going to put the stem into our tulip, and if I do it right, I can actually hide it so that it's on the other way as well. So let me go ahead, and I'm going to use a little liquid glue, and I can tuck the stem into the folds. And let's see, yep, I think that's what I want to do. I might need a glue dot here later on if this doesn't quite work. I'm going to kind of just press that into place. All right, so I'm going to let these sit aside to dry, or put those aside to dry. And let's go ahead and we'll do some stamping. So I'm using this Stitch So Sweetly dies here. And so I've got my Poppy Parade ink. Whoops, let me get this one out of the road. And using the Just Thinking of You sentiment from the stamp set that goes with the bundle. And let me get this on here. I might stamp that again here. Let's see here. Oh, I think it'll be just fine. I had a little bit that was a little light, but I don't think it will be noticeable whatsoever here. And I'm going to get this popped up onto our pool party. That's one of the colors that's in this beautiful designer paper that I chose for us here tonight. Okay. All right, we've got our stamping done, and we've got our tulips all assembled. So let's go ahead, and while those are setting aside, drying, and ready to go, let's put together our card. Okay, so I'm bringing in my Stampin' Trimmer here. And what I did ahead of time is on a 12 by 12 piece of Basic White, I have this cut at 5 1/4 and then 12, and it's scored every 4 inches. So what we want to do is we want to create a diagonal on 2 of the panels. And so in order to do that, I'm going to grab my pencil and I'm going to make a notch on the, or not a notch, but a mark on what's going to be the left-hand side of the card at 1 inch. So how I do this, I can just use my trimmer. I put it at the 1 inch mark and get my pencil because I just want to have a little mark here. And the scoring, what I want to say, the little guide here where the blade goes, the blade track, that's where, and like, that's where I'm going to put the mark. So I put the edge of the paper at 1 inch and I put my mark there on the track. And I hope that this, let me see if I can get this so that it all shows. Oh, well, yeah, it'll work just fine. All right, next what I want to do is I want to take this pencil mark, line it up on the track, and then take the 1, 2 score mark. Let me see if I can get this positioned here so that we can see it. So I'm going to put the second score mark. It's kind of going off of the track here. Let me close this up for a second. I've got this arm way out there. There we go. I think now we can see it. So I've got my pencil mark and I've got the second score mark lined up on the track. So once I make sure that that's all ready to go. Oh, and you know what? Okay, never mind the 1. I need it to be 1 1/4. Oh my goodness. 1 1/4. Okay, so 1 1/4, put my mark. I was ahead of myself on the designer paper. Okay, 1 1/4, forget the 1. Sorry guys, 1 1/4 is on the track. The second score mark is on the track. Now I'm going to take my cutting blade and cut along the track. What I have seen people do is try to go slow as they do that, but actually you want to do it fairly fast. If you use the blade slowly, it tends to snag. So we just want to go fast and cut that. All right, so now what we have is this really, this diagonal fun fold. Get this out of the road for a second. That has 1 1/4 here at the bottom. Okay, so 1 1/4. And I'm going to get my bone folder and get a nice crisp edge to everything. All right, so we can set, and that's our card base. Now it's just a matter of decorating it however that we would like. And how we want to decorate it is we're going to use the beautiful paper from Flowering Fields. So that's Flowering Fields designer paper, all sorts of tulips that you can use for your tulip dies that go with it. And we are going to need 3 panels. we're going to need one that's cut at 3 by 3/4. Another section of designer paper that's 3/4 by 5. And then we're going to need one that's 3/4 by 5 that will be in our back. 2 of these we're going to angle cut in such a way so that we can create a beautiful layering piece of designer paper on here. Okay, so here's where my 1 inch comes into play, where we're going to mark it. So we're going to mark it on the left-hand side at 1 inch. And now we're going to go from 1 inch on the track to the diagonal. Okay, make sure that that lines up. And then again, we want to go ahead and make sure it's there, and then trim it quickly. Okay, we'll set that aside. And then on our second piece of the designer paper, what we're going to do is we're going to turn it so that on the, now it's going to be on the opposite side, because this one here, let me show you where this is going to go. So now that mats beautifully here. And so when we go to cut our second one, which is going to be behind it, now we want to go ahead and mark it on the right-hand side. So on the right-hand side, we want to mark that at 3 inches. So I have the top facing to the left, and I'm going to mark it at 3. So let me get this, make sure I have it. So this is 5 inches. So I want to put this over here at 2 so that it's 3 inches from, from the right-hand side. So again, 3 and 2 is 5. This is 5 inches. And so if we put it on the 2 inch and mark it, we'll have 3 inches left over here. Now I'm going to angle it again, pencil mark to the point. Oops, let me do this again. I need it to go the opposite way. There we go. All right, so pencil mark is now on the bottom and the point on the top. I always have to bring this in and kind of look at it and get my head around which direction it goes. So don't be afraid to bring your base in and make sure that you're cutting it at the right way and angle cut. Okay, so now let's see, and always I'm going to just double check that. Now we'll bring this back in, and then there's our matting piece. All right, so I'm done with the trimmer for now, and let's go ahead and we will put down our sections that we did. We bring in the sample again so that when it's closed, you can see where it is. So on the, I always like to start kind of from the front side. And if you have any pencil marks, take your eraser and, get rid of those. I'll come back and make sure that that's all nice and cleaned up. And I'm using my liquid glue. We'll get some of this. Oh, this paper just makes me ready to go for spring. So we'll have the tulips going in that direction. And then our other layering piece we'll have on the second section. Get that on here. So pretty. And then this is still that same pattern of paper. And then on the back side, it just kind of has this almost cloud type of look, and it matches the background on the tulip paper, or the color one that I chose. And so that's just going to go all the way on the background of it, or on the back side of it. Get that on the background. So now look how pretty that is. It's just such a gorgeous color combination, I think, of paper. All right, so now what we're going to do is we are going to bring in our tulips that we made. Everything should be nice and, the liquid glue will be nice and dry now. And we'll put these on. So what I did is, here's the back side of it. I'm using mini glue dots. And we'll use those to add a little 3D look to it. So we'll get my mini dimensionals, and I'm going to put them on the front side of our tulips. So I'm just going to kind of put it down towards the bottom, and I'll alternate it from the poppy parade and in between or on the outside of it. What do I want to say? Or flushing the petal pink. So kind of just make sure that that's in between. And then go ahead and just kind of keep doing that on the other two tulips. Has anybody here tonight, have they gotten this stamp set and die, and have you played around with them yet? I know we're kind of just nicely over Valentine's Day. All right, so, and then I do want these to kind of come up on a diagonal as well. So kind of just have them do that. And then this last one. So, whoops. So now when that's opened, it can sit up like this and just have like a nice little scene for whoever that you give it to. I do like the idea of making a belly band for this. And so that way it just kind of keeps it all nice and closed. And so on that, I had a strip of the designer paper that's left from the tulip paper that I used. And so why not utilize this? So this is a 1" by 12. And I'm going to have the sentiment sit over here where this real estate's at. Yay, Marge says she has the dies, but now she's inspired to try it. Awesome. So I'm just going to wrap this around and kind of see where those overlap slightly, and then just take my scissors and snip that off. Nothing real major on that because it's going to be hidden anyways. And then add a little liquid glue to the edge over here. And then bring that back around. Put that down. Kind of hold it just for a second. And now, since we have our sentiment done ahead of time, I'm going to bring back in regular dimensionals. And I'm going to actually put those one on either side of that seam that we made. Take those off. And then I'm going to bring this up just a little bit. And we'll put that on here. All right, so that's how I made this card here. But and if you want to stop with that, that's fine. But what I wanted to also share with you guys here tonight is how you could really step this up and make it on all of the sides. Where this one, like this is where you could write some sentiments or even put a sentiment here. But what I did, I played around a little bit with putting them on both front and back. And so this way, no matter which way you look at or you have it set up, there's designer paper that you can see. And this would be especially good if you have some designer paper like the daffodil. This paper is free during celebration. And so especially something like this, I used the top half of that to create this elongated or this little scenery here. But I also wanted to show how you can do the same thing with designer paper that doesn't have to be like that. Okay, so I'm going to take the belly band off of this, and let's bring back in our trimmer. And what I did ahead of time is we are going to need another 2 pieces of designer paper, just like what we did on the first 2 here, only we're going to cut it at the opposite direction as what we did on the first one. So let's see if I can get my brain here to work for us tonight. And you can always open this up and make sure that you're going in the right direction. Okay, so again, this is a 3/4 by 3. And so this time, if I open this up, I want the smaller end, the 1 inch side, to be on the right side of our paper. Okay, so I want the 1 inch on this side. So I'm going to take this over to our trimmer again. And so from here up 1 inch. So here's the inch mark over here. I'll put that over on the track, or on the guide, and then on the track, I'll mark 1 inch. And so I want to go 1 inch on the diagonal. Kind of double check that. And cut quickly. So now I have this. And let's just go ahead and we'll put that on. We'll put them on as we go. And I kind of like this thought because now I can kind of cover up that back side of it as well. So I'm going to go ahead and use, back to using our multi-purpose glue. Now this will have a little bulge in it because we're going over all of this 3D stuff here from our flowers. But that's okay. We don't mind that one little bit. Okay, so now that's in a nice little pouch almost. All right, so let's bring the trimmer back in and we'll create our other diagonal cut. Get this off here first. Again, you can bring in your sample, bring in your base, and now we want to have the 3 inch mark that we're going to cut on the left-hand side. So I'm going to come over here at the 3 inch, 3 inch over here, pencil mark on the track, angle cut it from the pencil mark to the point. I just did a quick little reference to make sure I am going in the right direction. Quick cut. And we'll get this out of the road. Put this down, looking good. So impressed with myself with doing this correctly on the fly. Not on the fly, I should say, but live. And we'll get that. So sometimes I think we can be a little intimidated by using our trimmer by making angle cuts. But I hope that you give this project a try and just maybe start out with some scrap piece of designer paper so that if you boo-boo, it's not that big of a deal to you. Oh, look how pretty that is. He's kind of floppy. He's a little too high. But look how pretty this is when it's setting up. You just have a field of tulips that are everywhere. And now on this one here, because I do have, you know, everything's designer paper and very colorful. I could just take another, this would be the stitched rectangle, the larger one, and I could put that here to kind of just follow through with the theme of the stitched rectangle motif. Put that on the inside, and then I'll have my little place that I can, you know, put a personal message. But otherwise, this is our project tonight. So let's just go ahead and I'll put the belly band back on it. It is one that the belly band needs to come in from the bottom when you put it on. Like when you take it off, it might snag some of those posies. So what I'll do is I'll put a little note in when I send this to say, hey, pull the belly band down when you reveal it. All right. So this is our project here tonight. I would love it if you guys would just let me know if you give it a try and what you think of it. And otherwise, I hope that you guys have a terrific Tuesday night, the rest of it, and that you have a great week. All right, you guys, I'll go through and, you know, answer anything that, any questions that you may have here in just a little bit. Have a great night again. Happy crafting. Bye-bye.